Lesson 21, Laws of Detachment and Syllogism. Again, everybody say syllogism.
Syllogism.
Excellent. Okay. Deductive reasoning. So now you have another reasoning choice. We've done inductive. Deductive reasoning is using logic to draw conclusions from facts, definitions, and properties. So we use deductive reasoning when we're given two statements and we can draw a conclusion. So for example, you can say, here's two statements. All humans need to breathe. Abby is a human. So then you can draw a conclusion. Therefore,
Abby has to read.
Abby has to breathe. Yeah.
She doesn't have to. She can just
Or
she could just
Abby needs to breathe. Yeah, so if all humans need to breathe, and Abby is a human, then you can make a conclusion. Therefore, and when we're using, that's the law of detachment. And when we're using law of detachment, I want you to use the word therefore. Okay? So law of detachment, we're just going to write down that. For two statements, P and Q. So those were two statements. One was humans need to breathe, and the second one was Abby is a human. When if P then Q is true, and P is true. So I don't know if you guys remember that when we do our truth tables, the only way if P then Q is false is if P is true and Q is false. So if P is true and the statement is true, then Q has to be true. So that's what this part is saying. Then Q is true. So when if P then Q is true and statement P is true, then we know Q has to be true. So this is the one, the valid statement that you're going to deduce from your deductive reasoning. The valid statement is going to start with therefore and then blah blah blah. So whatever you're saying. Do you guys know the symbol for therefore?
No.
Have I? Okay, so you can do this. Little dots. That means therefore. So if, when you're doing your homework, you want to write the word therefore, comma, and blah, 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 you can just use that if you want.
Awesome.
Okay? Yeah. So one way that I remember law of detachment is you're just given two statements. That's it. So that, like, I don't know, if it's cold, no, it's cold in the classroom. Dixon wears a coat when it's cold.
Dixon was cold.
It's cold in the classroom. Therefore, Dixon's wearing a coat or something. Harrison.
So an easy way to remember this is, so laws of detachment has therefore in it, and therefore is a detached triangle thingy.
There you go. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. But now I'm going to teach you law of syllogism.
It's hard to say, so that probably means it's going to be a hard concept.
Well, it's not necessarily a hard concept. It just has more words in it. No, I don't mean the definition. I mean when you need to use deductive reasoning, the law of syllogism, you could tell the difference because it's a lot more statements. So in other words, when, if P then Q, and if Q then R are true statements. Just a minute.
Stands for Rebecca, guys. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Then, so this is a lot like the transitive property. Then, if P then R is a true statement. Okay? So if we say, if Maria wants to see a movie, then she goes to the theater. If Maria goes to the theater, then she buys popcorn.
So it's totally different.
Totally different, because now you're going to write an if-then statement. So here you just had to write therefore. Here you're going to write an if-then statement. So then you can write the statement, if Maria wants to see a movie, then she buys popcorn. So you're kind of putting the hypothesis of the first statement with the conclusion of the second statement is all. When you do syllogism. Super awesome. So they're giving you two if-then statements, and you have to write a third.
You can combine them.
You combine like the hypothesis of the first and the conclusion of the second.
So there is no Q anymore.
Right, in your final answer. Yeah. So we're going to do some practice set, but we're not going to write it all out. We're just going to do it in class, or lesson practice.
Yay.
And that's the end of the lesson.